Hi everyone, Grace here from Boji Farms, Rakai District. If you are new to our channel, please do not forget to subscribe and do not forget to hit on that bell to alert you wherever we have a new video. Our topic of discussion this time, we are going to talk about the major things that cause discomfort among our goats. And there are quite many, but there are those that really stand out, that when you look at them among your goats, you really feel sorry for them because they are undergoing a lot of discomfort, they are undergoing a lot of pain. Much as goats cannot speak, but you can literally see your goat is going through a lot of pain. So this brings us to our topic for today. Have you heard about an abscess or a wound on a goat skin? And also, we want to talk about fleas in kukunyi. Many of us on our farms face these challenges, especially the parasites, which are fleas, on our farms. An abscess, this is the accumulation of pus under the skin of a goat. Basically, it is a dead tissue. And where there is dead tissue, usually pus forms underneath. It is usually a swelling under the skin, and this abscess can be anywhere on a goat body. Most of them are caused by a bacterial infection. How does a bacterial infection end up in a goat skin? Usually it is an opening left on the skin, and then the bacteria enters through that opening to cause a dead tissue inside the body of a goat, and eventually that goat ends up with pus in its what? In its body. Usually most of them, when you measure their temperature, they have a high fever, and usually if a goat is having multiple abscesses on its body, or it is having concurrent abscesses, you cut one, another one develops in another area, it means it is really in a very bad shape, and it may die if these abscesses are not treated, or if the cause is not found out right there and then. Some of you are wondering, how do our goats get these abscesses? How do they get these wounds, these swellings on their skins? How does this happen? I've already told you it is after a small opening, basically like a thorn. For example, when they are grazing out there and these thorns pierce them, some of these thorns get out of the skin, but others may stay there. But usually after a thorn has pierced, it leaves a slight opening, a small opening. It takes just something small for a bacteria to enter a goat skin. And something else, usually some of us, when we are constructing our goat structures, we have rough woods on our farms. They have splinters which are sharp, and usually our goats want to scratch themselves. So during this scratching, some of them may injure their skins. And this is an opening for the bacterial infection to happen in a goat skin. And also, if you are one person that you rarely sweep your goat house, that every time, because we always advise farmers to sweep their goat pens at least 2 to 3 times a week. And for you at your farm, it rarely happens. You may find yourself in your herd, when you look among your goats, you are having so many goats with these kind of abscesses, all wounds on their skin. Why? Because every time these goats live in a dirty environment, and they happen to have those small openings on their skins, the germs will enter very fast because they sleep on a dirty ground. Are we all clear? Are we all on the same page, farmers? If we're on the same page, let's move on. The other bit you shouldn't miss is the goat fights that happen on the farm. Always, goats are always fighting each other, and usually there is a weaker goat, and every goat wants to beat it, especially if a goat has been sickly, or maybe it is a new goat that you have just introduced on the farm. They are always fighting. You have seen these kind of fights. And in those fights, usually some of them injure themselves. The injury may not happen there, and the injury may not be noticed by you, But after some time, maybe a week or weeks, you may notice a swelling starting to come up on a goat's body. Another aspect you should also not miss out when you are finding out the cause of the abscesses in your goats. Usually, some of us avoid using qualified vets and we use our lay people at the farm. Most of these people are not qualified enough to know the right injection sites where one can inject a goat. For example, we have injections that you're supposed to inject under the skin. We have injections that you're supposed to inject under in the meat, but some farmers don't know. So you may find the drug that is meant to be under the skin of the goat, it ends up in the flesh of the goat. Usually when this mix-up happens, most of these goats get these kind of swellings. You find swellings on the neck, you find swellings under near the thigh of the goat, you find swellings anywhere as long as that injection site was administered wrongly. One last aspect about what causes abscesses is aggressive ticks. Are you aware that a tick can cause an abscess? Have you seen sometimes when the eyes of those goats are swollen and there is a tick underneath? Usually after that tick has maybe I've sprayed the tick and it has fallen off, it usually leaves an opening and you may end up with an abscess. And also in the hooves, usually those ticks hide under. So after that tick has hidden under and is biting so hard and you cannot see it for quite some time, usually they leave a number of openings under the hooves. And remember, the hooves are the ones that take in most of the pressure, especially the pressure of the germs. You'll end up with an abscess in the goat's hoof. Remember, we are still talking about the major things that cause discomfort among your goats on the farm, and we are talking about an abscess. In our local language, an abscess is a chizimba. Basically, this is a protruding which has accumulated pus under the skin. That even in human beings, we have this kind of bizimbas. And when we are growing up, we would see people having these kind of swellings in their armpits and on any other different parts of their bodies. They would get a sharp instrument, they put it under fire, and then they pierce this wound and they let all the pus come out. So, having talked about an abscess, how do we go about it? How do you prevent it? How do you prevent them from coming to your farm? Or if you have goats that are having an abscess or abscesses on your farm, how do you go about them as a farmer? These are some of the things that are never talked about, but these are the key things that affect you as a day-to-day farmer, inclusive Boj here. If you notice that your goat has gotten an abscess, first examine it, but before you examine it, please wear some gloves. Remember, this is something which has lots and lots of infections. So if touching it with your bare hands, it means you may end up getting the same infection as a human being. You are treating goats on the farm, always wear the gloves. After putting on the gloves, examine this abscess. Usually, how do you know it is ripe and it is ready to be extracted out? When you examine it, around it, especially where the small opening happened, the hairs start falling off. And there are no hairs. And this is, when you notice this, it means this abscess is ripe and is ready for the farmer to extract the pus out. So make a small incision. You may use a sharp needle, or you may use a surgical blade, or you may use a razor blade, whatever is available to you. When you make that incision and you are pressing the pus out, make sure all the pus oozes out and then followed by the little blood. If you don't see the little blood, continue pressing till when all the pus goes out. Remember, every time you leave in the pus, it means that you are giving more room for more pus to accumulate in that goat's body. And there is no work that will be done because you'll be doing the same thing over and over time. After this has been done, Always have some antibiotics on the side to give to this goat, and also have a wound spray to spray around that area where you have gotten the pus out. Do this exercise of examining the goat on a daily basis, at least for the next 5 days. More pus may have accumulated and may not know. So ensure for the next 3 to 5 days you administer antibiotics, also add a wound spray, or if you don't have a wound spray, in our veterinary shops, they sell iodine for animals. Use that iodine, wash that wound, and then let it heal slowly by slowly. Having said all that, you have known what causes, what brings abscesses among your goats. Number one, always and always sweep your goat pens. Farmers, sweep your goat pens. You pay these people to work. One of the things you should include in their job descriptions is to sweep their goat pens. And this should be done at least minimally 2 times a week. You can even do it daily if you can. But if you cannot afford, like me, my compound is so big, I make sure at least 2 times a week we sweep these goat pens. Number 2, always endeavor, this is not kwejalabya, but endeavor to disinfect your goat pens. When you disinfect, you reduce the bacterial load in your herd. Always disinfect the goat houses, where the babies sleep, where anywhere around where your goats interact from or where they sleep. Please at least do it. If you can afford, do it twice a week. If you cannot afford, do it once. If you are having this kind of goats, it has been severely affected by abscesses, almost every month it has recurrent abscesses. You are treating one and next one is coming up. Please ensure you cull off this kind of animals because it is already a liability on your farm. Remember, every time you spend so much money on one particular goat, it is already eating into your profit. Remember, this is a business and you're expecting to earn something out of it. Every time you keep a goat that is not productive, a goat you keep spending on money because you are treating an abscess. It has had one abscess today, next month it is having another abscess. Please save yourself from that liability and either cull it off or sell it off for slaughter. An abscess on any goat causes a lot of discomfort. It may cause fever, and if they keep recurring, it may cause death to your goats. This is a very big discomfort among your goats. When a goat has an abscess, if it has an abscess in the hoof, it will not work properly. That means it's not going to feed well. It will not move well. It will not dig for the shrubs. It will not sleep well. And actually, for those harvesting the skins for those goats, remember, you have already created an opening. That is already an injured skin. It may fetch you less money if you are to sell that skin. It's a beautiful thing to know that you are watching us from wherever you are. And let's meet next week for another beautiful video. Thank you for keeping it here. Boj Grace from Boj Farms. Bye-bye.